Forged from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons.
You're on mute.
I'm on
Mr.
mute.
Rob.
I've just realised. Hey, we can edit this bit out. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Amateurs. Right. Okay. As it says there, ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to like, if only for the comedy value of when I cock things up. Don't forget to comment on and share the stream to your social media platforms. It really does help the channel out tremendously. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new around here. And please don't forget to hit the bell icon for alerts of new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support. So, old chap, we were both lucky enough to witness it. In the end, you was there. You was there.
I was.
We'll get into that and how the circumstances of that came about. The Premier League Matchday 20 of 38. West Ham United 2, Everton 0 at London Stadium. And David Moyes was the victor in El Sackio. I have to say, though, Duke, I don't know about you. We'll get into that in a moment. 2 o'clock, the team sheets were announced. I've got to be honest with you, mate. I wasn't entirely convinced, but this was the squad that Mr. David Moyes went with. Did you think the same as what I thought when that squad was announced at 2 o'clock?
Listen, I was interviewed last night by Mr.
By the police?
By Mr. Russ. Standing outside the stadium, I was accosted, Robert. I was accosted. I didn't mind being accosted, standing there in my shirt and trousers and my shoes and a beer in hand. It didn't matter what he picked. For me, it didn't matter what he picked. He could have picked. He could have gone 3-4-3 for all or 3-4-3 that wasn't a 5-3-2 or 5-2, whatever it was. Nothing changed. It was same old, same old. And I was convinced, I'll be honest with you, when I saw the lineup, I thought it was going to be a lot hard. Well, I thought it was going to be a lot harder than what it turned out to be. It was still bloody hard. It was still very hard to watch. It was very difficult to watch. It was very difficult to get excited about before the game. Difficult to get excited about during the game, if I'm honest with you. But no, I saw that, mate. And I'm probably going to piss a few people off in the chat tonight. There might be some that agree with me. There might be some that disagree with me. Yeah, I wasn't convinced. I really wasn't.
Well, I've got to be honest with you, mate. When I saw that starting lineup, back 3, back 5, at home against a team that are fighting for their life, same as us, I was like, oh no. The one thing I will say that I looked at and thought, okay, I can kind of get behind that, was the omission of Thomas Souček. I was convinced that he was going to start him, and he didn't. So fair play to David Moyes on that front. I got to give him credit where it's due, but I got to be honest. I 2 o'clock, I went, oh no. I mean, Charlie was with me, who's obviously, he's got his comment up here just now on the boats. And yeah, I think we both sort of looked and went, we were quite suitably underwhelmed. And yeah, but listen, we can sit here now and say, he got it right. We got 3 points. We got, and the thing is, I mean, I'm on a group chat, as you know, with a few other people, my brother and all the rest of it on WhatsApp. And one of the group, and I won't say who because they might not want me to, but one of the group was quite scathing, even after we got a 2-0 home win against Everton, that we only had 32% share of the possession. And my point was, I really couldn't care less. I'm not really bothered about how much possession we had, because let's be completely honest about it, Duke. That's the sort of possession stats that we had last season, finishing 7th. That's the sort of possession stats we had last season, season before, finishing 6th. Possession in and of itself, I'm not overly concerned by. I mean, just looking here on the stats, 32% possession. We had 11 shots, 4 of which were on target. Everton, with their 68% possession, mustered 5 shots and only 2 on target. So it ain't about how much you've got of the ball. It's what you do when you've got it.
I'm not entertained, Roberts, I think is the key here. You know, you say last season 32, 33, 38%. Thank you. Larry, behave yourself. God damn it, man. And that one, I was going with this one, Rob. I was actually going to ping this one up. Behave yourself.
Oh, hello. Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Thank
Larry,
you,
you superstar.
Love him.
So I'm gradually ploughing my way through.
That's all right.
Eventually.
I've started a couple of messages, if we can hold off on them for you. No, listen. Last season before, we averaged, I think, about 38, 39% possession across all games. That includes Europe as well. Okay.
Evening, Kent.
Now, I was entertained for the first part of last season. I was entertained for the season before, and I've been entertained in Europe this season whilst having that kind of possession, Rob. And you know why?
Go on.
Because we won. We were winning games. And it's all well and good to say, it's great. And as long as you're winning games, then you're not going to have a problem with that. Let's not dick around. As long as you're winning games, you're not going to care what your possession is. No.
If we'd have lost, then you might have had a
but that's my point, isn't it? The entertaining comes from winning games. Now, Charlie made his comment earlier, didn't he? Where is it? Let me see if I can hunt it down. This one here. Average performance, awful opposition, bloody great night, celebrating 3 points. And there's the key, Rob.
Mhm.
It's the celebrating 3 points that it takes away from the fact that, if I may, and again, may well piss off a few people in the chat, might piss off a few people.
Not the first time.
No, true.
But if it's your opinion.
I don't think we were that good yesterday, Rob. I actually think at points we were very, very poor, and it was a very bad game between, not even contentiously, the two worst teams in the top flight at the moment.
Mhm.
And we just happened to be the better of two bad sides on the day. Ahmet says here, oh, hang on. It's a good win. It papers over the cracks, and my thing is, that's the point. Sharky, you as well. Love you, my man.
Oh, you gentlemen, thank you.
You are lovely people today.
Blimey.
Well, there you go.
Have they all been paid or something?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Ain't complaining.
I'm gonna sign up under another name and donate. I mean, my concern is, Rob. Boys are saying here, Newcastle, Spuds, Chelsea. We have our arse handed to us on a plate. We know that Big Doors has gone now, and thank you for his service. He's been outstanding. I think he's been, we can all be ones to sit here and hang our heads in shame, if you will, that he was a joke, Rob, when he signed, wasn't it? It was the joke. It was the piss take, and then he came in the FA Cup game, I believe, in the January after he'd signed in the August for his first start, and
wasn't it?
He was outstanding. And thank you to Big Doors for. But I've got to say, we need some defensive troops coming in, because I don't know if you noticed it, Rob. I went batshit in the first half when Zuma was running back, and he pulled up, Rob.
He did.
He pulled up, and I'm surprised you didn't hear
for
me.
A good while.
I'm surprised you didn't hear me, because I literally lost my shit in corporate, surrounded by prawn-eating munchers.
Did you upset a few people?
No, I didn't actually. I was told I was a breath of fresh air.
They've invited you back.
Well, possibly.
Crumbs.
Possibly.
What, Dex Dad?
Oh, Dex Dad's a lovely man. Sean, absolutely fantastic guy. I got a couple of pictures with him. Sadly, not on my phone. They were on his. It was actually quite funny.
You didn't tell him.
That we do Thoughts from Iron, and we do a YouTube channel, and
he went, I've never fucking heard of you.
And he should subscribe. Maybe.
You did.
I did, yeah. Got a couple of pictures. Really nice guy. I had a couple of beers with him. Really genuinely nice bloke. Although the first things he did say was, I don't want to talk about it to another guy that was, with us at the table. I know exactly what he was getting at, and I didn't even want to talk about it. You know what I mean, right? About Deck. That wasn't a conversation that was at the table yesterday. Now, I spoke with a couple of ex-players. Had a good chat with Rufus Brevitt.
All right.
I've told him to get our numbers off of Stuart and Zav. I spoke to Zav as well, and I told Zav to get our numbers off of Stuart Slater to come on.
Because thing with Zav on, he actually works for the club, so that's always
I know. Well, essentially they all do as well, Rob. If you think they all work in hospitality, they're all
but it's a bit different. Well. The guys that work in the hospitality lounge are a bit different to the guys like Zavon Hines, who's actually working as a coach. Do you know what I mean?
As a coach, yeah. But no, I told him to I told him to speak to Stuart Slater. He was hosting in our room. It was actually quite funny. I was talking to Dex Dad and I said about having Stuart Slater and Mark Ward's number and that we've had him on the channel and stuff. And he went to say, "Oh, Stuart's actually hosting in here today." And Stuart Slater got up on stage and started doing his spiel with, I think it was Marlon Harewood, Matt Jarvis, Zav, and Rufus. So I had a quick chat with those as well. That was quite cool. Sean is a really, really nice guy, really friendly. You know,
Did you tell him you thought that we should sell him his boy?
I didn't even bring up his boy, mate. I didn't want to. I didn't. I couldn't. If I'm honest with you, I couldn't.
I don't think your boy should be the captain. Oh, all right, lovely. I'll buy you another beer. Thanks.
Yeah, no. Well, I didn't have to buy the beer. It was all complimentary.
You
nice grub as well, by the way. I had a steak pie.
Oh, did you?
It was delivered to the table wrong, so I ended up eating chips off of someone else's burger.
Do you mind if I ask how this all came about? Because obviously the day before,
got a young lady that comes in the pub, and I don't know how it all came about, but her boss, it was whatever it was corporate tickets, hospitality, the meal, the 3-course meal, the drinks, and everything else. And basically, her boyfriend is a scumbag fan. He's a Millwall fan, and
someone's got to do it, I suppose.
She asked him, obviously, if he wanted to go. He turned around and went and get fucked. He's I'm not going to watch them. So, being the West Ham fan that she knows, she asked me. I had no intention of going yesterday. It was only, I think, late Friday night that it was all confirmed. But then it had to be shirt, trousers, shoes. It was because on the email it says that you couldn't have worn colours or trainers or jeans. Yet, whilst in there, and obviously Dex Dad's there in jeans and a bloody West Ham t-shirt, and I'm like, I'm literally, so I was on the verge of wearing a 3-piece suit. I'm not going to lie to you.
Another day in court, was it? Another day in court, was it?
It was not far off. But no, it was, like I say, padded seats, all the rest of it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Rob, get back to the game and everything else. We come out in the first half and, obviously where we're up and lined up, you can see the layout of the formation. That's why I like sitting where we do, is because we are higher up. We can see most of the game.
Yeah.
You can see everything off the ball. And I'll be honest with you, again, if we're playing a better side, we get battered, Rob. There was so much space at points between Soufal, Paqueta and Zuma on our right-hand side that Everton were literally just walking through at points. 2 passes and, Gray or Iwobi were, in so much space. It was painful at times. It really was painful. And I was texting backwards and forward with Steve 50. And I said exactly the same thing to him, that we were so open at points, it hurts.
Can I just interject just real quickly whilst I'm just looking? At the minute, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're not, if you wouldn't mind popping across there, it'd be very much appreciated. We got 23 likes at the minute. We got, at the minute, 58 if you're watching. So, and I explained this to someone because I don't think that people quite realise how much of a help and assistance it is to the channel to just do that simple thing of going on YouTube and just clicking the button with the thumbs up. It drives the algorithms on YouTube. Don't ask me, I'm not a software expert, but it helps to get the channel out there to places it might otherwise not. So do us a favor. If it's a simple thing, it doesn't cost you a penny, and it really does make an awful lot of difference to you. 60 watching now. If you could, please just go to YouTube. If you're watching it on Twitter, if you're watching it on Facebook, pop across to YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Honestly, it helps us out really very much, and we thank you for it. Sorry about that, Duke. I just wanted to take the opportunity.
No, you're all right. No, like I say, we were being carved open at points, and a better team, significantly better forward line. They would have. We would have been embarrassed yesterday, and we would be sitting here having another meltdown because David Moyes was still in a job after another defeat.
Cheers, Larry.
But as it was, we were playing essentially the cast of a Jim Henson show, and
I'm not even sure they were that good.
no, you're right. They might not have been. I mean, the first goal, Rob, he took it really well, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Took it really, really, really well. I was impressed with Bowen yesterday.
Yes.
His movement, Anton, good evening, sir.
Anton.
His movement, his off the ball stuff as well. You know, again, where we sit up in the gods, we get to see more. If I may just quickly interject, Anton, over at Network.
Yep.
You did a big thing yesterday, my man, and I want to say thank you. I spoke to Budgie, Green Street Elite's Budgie, and Anton, what you did for him yesterday was cracking. So thank you. I just want to say thank you from my point of view. I'm not going to announce what he did and stuff, but it was fantastic. If he wants to, he can. But that was fantastic from you, my man. Thank you. And also a shout out to Budgie and to Happy, Rob. They babysat Grace yesterday. While I was, it certainly was, my man. They babysat Grace while I was in corporate, and Grace went and sat with Happy and Pops during the
Grace
game.
have a good
That
day?
was nice. It was nice. Always pay it forward. That's what we got to do.
Did Grace have a good day with it?
No, she did. She loved it. She came back with a big smile on her face. She loves going to West Ham. She wore her Iron Maiden shirt for her Iron Maiden football shirt for her first game. So she was happy. Again, all came about late Friday night that you know she was going as well. Before we carry on, Rob, obviously, I want to know your thoughts. Does it paper cracks?
Probably.
Does this kind of gloss over, because there were still massive problems yesterday?
Yeah. I'm not stupid enough to think that was a complete performance. I appreciate that we were the home team. We were playing against another team that were fighting for their lives, manager under pressure and everything. Do I sit here now and go, that 3 points means that everything in the garden is rosy? No, I'm not that deluded. Did it paper over the cracks? Quite possibly. But yesterday was all about getting the win by hook, by crook. Whichever way, whichever means it came within the rules, I was all for it. Absolutely all for it. So, listen, we got 3 tough games in the league coming up. Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Tottenham away. Now, you look at those 3 and you go, oh, we'd probably be lucky to get, well, what do you reckon? 2 points? 3 points if we were lucky? You know, I mean, yeah, and conceivably we might get none. In a, you know, if it went completely pear-shaped, we might get absolutely zilch, which then means that our next game, the other side of that, is probably a relegation 6-pointer, I would suggest, in a game between us and Nottingham Forest. So does it paper over the cracks? Yes. Are we still in a relegation battle? Yes. But like I say, we needed to win the game, and we did. So I'll take it. I'll take it all day long, mate.
Mark's just said in the chat, what did you think of Onana yesterday? I'll be honest with you, I didn't realise Prick was playing.
Listen, I think he's a level above the team that he's playing for. I mean, I was on with Anton yesterday evening on the West Ham network, and just in case there's any of you 57 that are watching that haven't ventured across the West Ham network, which I would find quite odd, but should that be the case, please go onto YouTube, type into the search bar West Ham network, and give them a subscribe as well. Anton and Russ, they're doing some really good things over there. and they always give us support. So I feel that, as you know, it's something. What goes around comes around, I believe. But yeah, I mean, I was talking to him. I think that Onana is a better player than what Everton's level is at the moment. I think he's better than a bottom ranked Premier League team. I don't think he's helped by the players that he's got around him who are just inadequate. And I don't think he's going to be there next season if the worst comes to the worst for Everton Football Club and they find themselves a Championship club. Incidentally, that will be their last season. Next season is their last season at Goodison Park. I mean, just imagine that for a moment. A team that up to this point has only spent 4 seasons outside of the top flight in their entire history. The last time was in the 50s. And they could spend their last season at Goodison Park playing Rotherham, Blackburn, Coventry City. I don't mean to be denigrating to those teams, but do you know what I mean? Could you imagine if we'd have had the last season at Upton Park playing second-tier teams? It wouldn't have quite had the same sort of sheen to it, would it?
No. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, I made a comment last night that I think I was on Hammers Network actually. That I say they collared me after the game, and I made a point. It wasn't polished. It wasn't pretty yesterday.
It
Anton
was a
said
turd
that,
rolled in glitter.
but mate, I don't even think it was rolled. It wasn't. Listen, it was a grit. It was a determination. Do I think that? Do I think that that's going to be enough for the rest of the season? Grit, determination? No, I don't. I think there needs to be more. There needs to be a bit of flair, a bit of flash, and then I'll tell you what I watched. I watched the Arsenal game, Rob, in the pub.
Yep, good game
with Chloe because it was busy down there, Now, I just need a little bit of a rant, I suppose.
fire away.
I watched a young Arsenal side, and by a young Arsenal side, I mean a young Arsenal side that's come through their ranks. Yeah, most of those youngsters have come through the ranks at Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, Martinelli, Nketiah again.
I know.
Way, I'm just going to leave that.
I've got to be honest, mate. I'm a believer now.
I think that's now 16 in 13 starts.
Crazy.
Something silly like that.
He's got to be knocking on Gareth Southgate's door now, isn't he?
I did say at the start of the season, Rob, didn't I? Transfer window wise, that he's one that I want. I rate him highly. I think he's brilliant, and I think we could do a hell of a lot worse, if I'm honest, than bring him in. Someone put a message up a minute ago. Where is it? I just want to go back to it.
Hey, Daniela.
Andy Walsh. Did you see this comment he made earlier, Rob?
What, the third goal for Arsenal, is that referring to?
No, this one here. Look at
that. Yes.
The man next to the beanie hat with the glasses
I saw him.
And they're very shiny.
Yeah.
Very, very shiny just in here. Famous, Andy. Famous. I love it.
Face only a love.
Yeah, I was laughing a little bit, Rob, when Saka scored the goal, right? I came upstairs to Joe in the office, and I turned around and I said, if only we had a manager that trusted some of the youngsters to come through. If only we had a left-footed youngster that could play on the right and cut in, or even play on the left to beat his man and get a cross in. If only we had someone like that in the ranks lower down, like Ollie Scholes. If only we had someone like that we had a manager that trusted. Because listen, we've watched some of these kids. Yeah, we know that there's talent there. You know why I like him, but I know that you like Harrison Ashby. He's probably the best crosser of the ball on that right hand side that we've got. Ollie Scarles, Connor Coventry, Dan Chesters, these guys get a chance, Rob, and I think we could see something. Arteta's done that. Arteta did that. Okay, it was a building process and maybe not in the situation that we find ourselves in with a relegation, issue. But, but we're not going to know. If only we had someone that trusted our youth. That's where I'm at in my mind.
Well, you know how I feel on the subject. I'm aligned with you, my friend.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
well, again, I found myself in my mind yesterday, Rob, just going back to what you turned around and said about going down to B&Q and getting a Stanley knife. I was actually in my mind yesterday looking down at that thinking, I wonder how long that would take to cut up with a Stanley knife.
Did you talk to any of the ex-players yesterday about that?
Yeah, I spoke to Slates briefly, again.
Hey, Luke.
Spoke to Zavon because obviously Zavon works, like you said, as a coach in and around, some of the youngsters. Marlon, he's he's in and out of that group as well. Yeah. And they just turned around and said that they don't understand it. I won't name names. Obviously, there were 5 ex-players that were there. I'm not going to say who said what, but he doesn't even go and watch the youngsters, Rob.
That's awful, isn't it?
That, for me, he doesn't even go watch the youngsters.
Well, I think I might have given a little piece of information away. I might be breaking a little bit of an exclusive to you. I don't know. I've been in contact 2 weeks ago with a coach that works in the academy, and I just turned around to them and said about the there was a game that was on the YouTube channel, and they put the formation up as a 4-2-3-1, but I'd seen it on many other platforms where it was down as a 3-5-2. So I got in touch with the coach in question and said, can you just clarify something for me? What formation did you play? And the coach concerned actually said it was 3-5-2. I said, so the club's own YouTube channel got the formation wrong. And his words to me were, we don't communicate with the YouTube channel. And I was just like, wow. In the year 2023, when YouTube and social media and all the rest of it is all encompassing, they don't talk to one another. And if they don't talk to one another, you turn around to me and say the manager doesn't go and watch the academy. That doesn't surprise me, mate. It seems to sort of they all sort of feed into each other, in my view.
Yeah. Before we carry on with the game, Peter's asked a question, and there's a few answers going backwards and forwards in the chat. That one there, Rob. Now, as we are aware, it was broken some days ago that there's a possibility of interest. There's also a possibility of interest. Who's the English billionaire that was looking at buying United?
Sir Jim Ratcliffe.
Now, I turned around and said when that was announced, because it was announced on Hammers News website, and I turned around and said, I wouldn't believe any of that shit until I see it somewhere else. No disrespect, but that's just where I'm at with that. Those websites, that Claret & Hugh, I want confirmation elsewhere, if you will. And I turned around and I said, well, I made a comment not so long ago, didn't I, Rob, that I thought was going to get us into some trouble with regards to the owner.
There's been a few.
With the owners, we know that the Qataris have bought up a lot of the newer buildings and the land in and around the London Stadium.
Yes.
It kind of would make sense in a way for them to do so. Obviously, people in the chat are having their say. What are your thoughts? Questionable human rights, Saudi Arabia with with Newcastle. Am I right in thinking that the Qatari investment fund are the same guys that have got PSG?
Paris Saint-Germain, yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. I'm conflicted. I can't lie. I from a moral standpoint, I'd be not really my cup of tea, actually. From the point of view of just purely as a football fan and taking morality out of it. And let's be honest, we're talking about the Premier League. I mean, morality doesn't have anything to do with it an awful lot of the time, does it? Let's be completely honest about it. So, as a fan, purely as a fan, taking morality and conscience out of the equation, a multi-billionaire or multi-billion whatever country ownership, whatever it is, if it's anything like PSG, which is pretty much going to guarantee success, what do you think I'm going to say? So I'm really conflicted. I don't know how I've got the yin and the yang. I'm having a little bit of an argument with myself. Split personality.
Well, Squirrel comes back with an answer that pretty much covers yours and mine. Money beats moral.
I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, listen, I made the comment, and I said it in jest not so long ago. If it guarantees us a trophy, I'd take ISIS taking over the bloody club.
Oh yes, I remember that comment.
You remember this one? Tongue in cheek, said as a joke.
It was a joke, yes.
At the end of the day, right now we're not going to be able to compete. Look, take a look at Newcastle. 12 months ago, these guys were staring relegation, like square in the face. They were literally kissing. Is how close Newcastle were to relegation. Yes, Peter, it was a joke. I don't want ISIS taking over, but listen, that's where I'm at. I don't want ISIS. It was a joke.
And that's a fair point. No multi-billionaire is
No, we're
squeaky
not.
clean. That is true, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, listen. No billionaire has made their money doing everything above board. Okay, let's not fuck about. That being said, it's difficult because there is part of me that, yes, they do, Andy. There is part of me that sits here and going, I want to celebrate something. Like I say, look at Newcastle. 12 months ago, staring relegation square in the face. Doing a Chelsea in a way of going and buying the best players from their immediate rivals to stop them from doing anything. They did it with Chris Wood at Burnley.
Wood, yeah. He's got to Forest now, isn't he?
He's gone to Forest on loan. Listen, it kind of sounds a bit harsh, but they got what they needed out of him, and they've got someone better. Move on, and that's essentially what happened there. But now look at Newcastle, right? I consider us at Newcastle on the same sort of playing field, Rob. Fan base, culture,
Sleeping giant.
Working class fans. Stick through thick and thin. Man City, same sort of in a way, same sort of thing. Before they were bought. Do I begrudge Newcastle the kind of success that they're having right now? No, I don't. Not in the slightest. Because they went through some shit with Mike Ashley, John Hall and all the rest of it. In the same way that we're going through what we're going through with Sully and Brady. I'm not going to put, Mr. Gold in there. I just think it was an unfortunate side effect.
That is true, Dave.
That he's opened his trap at the wrong time. A bit like Prince Philip. God rest both of them, by the way. Now, that being said, we are a big club with a big fan base.
Agreed.
We proved that. I say we proved that with the move. There is a lot of popcorn munchers in in the stadium that wouldn't have necessarily been gone to Upton Park.
Don't get me started, Duke. You don't want to know what I saw yesterday. I saw, and the reason I didn't go batshit at this is because it was a kid. But there was a kid in the West Ham end in a Manchester United shirt. You know what I think about that, mate. You know what I think. I've got no problem with a Man United fan being there in and of itself. Fine, no problem.
But don't
wearing
wear
colours.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
I would have sick Logan on him. Let's smash him up, son. Listen, it's always going to happen, and it's very difficult to now try and combat that. You know, but no. Anyway, back to the game. Bowen's second, mate. The Antonio assist, the link-up play between him and Antonio was phenomenal.
They were interchanging, weren't they? I mean, sort of like
at one point,
the
Antonio
lineup said that
left, right wing, and Bowen was centre forward.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I wasn't surprised to see Ings on the bench. Obviously, he's moved a long way from the Midlands. He needs to acclimatise to being in London. Needs to acclimatise moving south. So we might see him come April time, I reckon, in the starting lineup.
Don't. No, I think he. It's got to be interesting because I thought Antonio had a decent game. I thought Bowen had a good game. I thought Benny did all right. And you got Ings, so it'd be interesting to see how he lines up for Newcastle. I'm not quite sure how this is going to go. I mean, the only thing that could possibly alter the landscape on that one would probably be if Antonio does go.
Well, I mean, there is talk of it, isn't there, that we're not giving up on Moffey. The Nigerian guy playing, he's Nigerian, isn't he? Plays in France.
Yep.
Apparently, we're not giving up the ghost on him as of yet. So
I think it's different. Just on that, Walshy, I think it's probably different if it's not an English team. Do you know what I mean? So Barcelona, Real Madrid, that I'd kind of go, okay, it's not a direct rival, is it? I kind of think it's a bit wanky, but well, it is. I mean, come on, but I suppose it'd be a bit like us going to the new camp and having a West Ham flag waving around. It's a little bit odd, little bit sort of daft, but I can kind of sort of get behind it to a degree because it's not a direct rival. But Man United in the West Ham end for a West Ham versus Everton game. Are you lost or something?
You know what? I've got about as much love for an English club, shirt, scarf, whatever, in the home end as I have for the half and halves. Like, stop fucking selling them. Or on the other side of that, stop fucking buying them. Because if we stop buying them,
they stop selling them.
Stop making them.
Yeah.
I hate them. I hate.
The dad was wearing one as well of this kid. The dad was wearing fucking half and half scarf.
The only time I want to see in half and half, the only time that I'd purchase a half and half, Rob, would be the final of a competition with the ticket, the scarf, the programme to go in a frame as a keepsake. That's the only time I'd buy one.
Antonio, well, for the second goal.
For the second goal, I thought his
on his feet.
I thought was outstanding.
When he got clipped, I thought, he's going to throw himself.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go around. Yeah. Part of me was going fall over you, but he didn't. Right, there was part.
Hang on. We criticise him for going to the deck a little bit too a little tap around the ankles.
Wasn't going to the deck too easy. He'd been clearly clipped and and taken out as such, taken out of the game as for what. But yeah, he did really well, and to look up and pick him out I mean, it wasn't even like I was like, just put it across the box now, put it across the box now, and he lifted it. Rob, he kind of it wasn't a low cross driven. He kind of lifted it into about like over. It was like a lifted pass over the outstretched leg.
Yep.
Yeah. And I was like, you absolute, oh yes, as he scores, oh, all the names under the sun. But no, he got it right, and I a hell of a lot of credit is due to Mikel Antonio for not just for that goal, but for yesterday's play.
I don't know about you. How did you feel? Because one thing we've been moaning about, you and I, is the lack of energy in the press. Now, okay, it was Everton. I get that. But I did see a little bit more urgency in that front three coming out and engaging with their back line. Or was it just me?
Early, yes. The first 10, 15 minutes, I will agree with you. After it kind of fell away again, which is why they were able to pass their way out. Can't remember who said it in the chat. I think it was Anton possibly says that although they did have a hell of a lot of possession, a lot of it was in their defensive third and in their part of the midfield. There wasn't a great deal as such coming forward. I mean, I remember, maybe 4 or 5 instances in the first half where they kind of carved us open, but didn't make any kind of meaningful, attack out of it. And then the only one I really remember is Calvert-Lewin at the back post, sliding in the second half. That was really of note. You know what I mean? So,
well, I don't remember them having two. I mean, it says they had 2 shots on goal, and I remember the what was the one? The one that Declan deflected wide, I think, from Iwobi, wasn't it, in the first half?
yeah.
I remember that one. That was on target, and he got his heel out and sort of deflected it wide for a corner. And can I just say, if you saw the footage when he did it, did you see him? He's fist pumping in the air and all that. He was absolutely cock a hoop.
Oh, listen, and they hit the post. Yes, they did.
Yeah, but that's not on target, is it?
No. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm talking about the meaningful attacks. Again,
I can't remember what the second one was that was on target.
It was poor, Rob. It was very poor. It was a poor game. They were poor. We were just a little less poor. You know what I mean? I'm still Moyes outside, but I still don't think that he has what it takes to turn us around.
He's earned another game, hasn't he? He's earned at least that.
But is that going to do us any favours when it comes to the end of the transfer window, Rob?
Possibly not.
Do you see what I mean? Yeah.
But they're not going to sack him after a win, are they?
No. Well, maybe if they've got someone lined up. I'm out. I'm always out, but I'll be happy if he turns it round. I agree there, Steve. Yeah.
Tell you one other person I was impressed with, because you referenced the second goal. I think the first goal as well. Although he didn't get the assist, I think that an awful lot of don't start, Sharky, don't start. I'm hoping that I've got him locked away.
I keep seeing him in the background of Gonzo's videos in the morning.
I know. Emerson. Now, I'm not Emerson's biggest fan. I have to be honest with you. But I thought he played really well at left wing back. And obviously he played the ball into the box. Antonio got the flick on. Bowen did the rest. So Antonio gets the assist, but that goal doesn't happen without Emerson.
There was a couple of times when him and Benrahma kind of fell over each other's feet, got in each other's way. Were trying to work the same sort of places on the pitch, which frustrated me. Benrahma has gone from being our absolute diamond, if you will. He was quite quiet yesterday, Benrahma, I felt, anyway. But Antonio could have had another assist yesterday. The one that he headed back across goal. Bowen wasn't expecting the header back across goal, and Antonio kind of headed it wide, and you kind of looking going, well, I know what he was trying to do. Bowen's thinking, why didn't you go? Was that a header at goal? And I've not I can't. And it annoyed me a little bit. When we do player ratings in a second, Rob, I'm going to wax lyrical about a certain player.
Oh, well, if any of you watching, there's 50, 60 of you watching, most of you have probably cottoned onto it, but if you're watching on Twitter or if you're watching on Facebook, you might not be aware there's actually a poll running. It's been running since basically we hit the record button, and it's basically the man of the match poll. So there are 4 options: Naya Gerd, Emerson Palmieri, Mikel Antonio, Jared Bowen. So if you haven't done so, get yourself over to the YouTube channel, put a vote on, and whilst you're there, just click the thumbs up button. We're on 51 at the minute, so we're doing quite well on that. We've got 58 watching at the minute, so that's going quite well. So let's get stuck in. Shall we do the old player ratings, old son?
Let's do so.
Let's do it. Right, okay, talk to me. Lucas Fabianski between the sticks. And you guys in the live chat, please get involved with this one. We want as much audience participation as possible. What did you think of the Polish stopper?
He did nothing, really, grand scheme of things.
Didn't need to, really, did he?
Very little to do. We went live at the wrong time, Rob. Gio's live over on Hammer's chat. He's got 504 people watching.
Yeah, I know. I saw that and I thought, oh, well, bollocks, we're committed
we're already here now. Fab, for me, gets a 7.
7. Right, okay, let's have a little look. David's gone with a 6. I mean, it's difficult to mark someone that didn't really have, as you say, too much to do. Fabianski's got a 7 from Cyber. Larry says 7, clean sheet, not much work. Yeah, pretty much. Fabianski gets a 6 from Walshy, a 7 from Daniela. Steve says he got a 6, made a very important save in the second half. Yes, he did. He tipped it wide, didn't he? That was the shot. So that would have been the 2 shots. So the one from Iwobi, first half, deflected by Declan for a corner, and then Fab with a save. Yeah, I know the 2 shots on target now. Squirrel says 6. Hammerette says 6, but only because he was quiet. Hammerhead gives him a 5. Right, okay. Talk to me about Angelo Ogbonna.
He scares me. He scares me. I like him, and I think he's been a great servant, and he proved a lot of doubters wrong in the same way that Dawson did after he came in, but there were points where I just didn't think he had the legs for it anymore. You know what I mean? After the knee injury, the age, I still think he did a job yesterday, but there were times when, one of the other 2 had to kind of bail him out a little bit. Take care, Kent.
I think his pass stats were very good, though. I mean, I know as a defender, it's not all about passing stats, but from memory, he was running at 91% pass completion.
See, that's impressive on its own, right? For anyone on the pitch, that's impressive.
So you're what are you giving him, mate?
I'm gonna give him a 7 because it's a clean sheet.
7 because it's a clean sheet. Right, okay. I'm just having a little scroll down on here. Right, Steve gives him a 7. Cyber gives him a 5. Ooh. David says 7. Can we allow 0.5s? What do you reckon?
I'm going to say no.
Do you reckon? I mean, yeah, but Larry's been here a long time. He's a valued customer. He's sort of, he's Diamond Club holder, isn't he? What do you reckon? Should we let him off?
Yeah, I'll let him off on this one.
Just because it's you, Larry, but don't tell the others because they'll all start jumping in with decimals. Anyway, Squirrel goes with a 7. Hammerhead says he was a 6. Kate says he was a 7. And Mr. Walsh says a 7 likewise. Charlie comes in, says he had a good game. Can't be there in the long term for him, but he gives him a 7 on the basis of yesterday. Dean jumps in. Hope you're well, mate, with a 6. Kent, he's still there. He's lingering on. Says he was good. In his 30s, he's fine. In his 30s for me, gives him a 7. Joan gives him a 7 as well. Oh, look. He got a match of the day by the looks of it. I missed that, mate.
I did.
You're going to have to send us a photograph or some sort of video footage or whatever. And True Cockney gives Ogbonna a 7. So there we go. Right. Talk to me about Naya Fagerd.
Oh, mate. Oh. How good is this guy? Let's just, right. He is an absolute steal at 35 million quid. A steal. There are no words for how good this guy is. There was a couple of times he was put under a bit of pressure, I think, by players being out of position elsewhere, and a few cock-ups by others elsewhere, not just in the back, but, you know, the midfielders and the left, Emerson being too far forward, if you want. He was just, I think, I sat with one of the guys in corporate, and I turned around and he went, "What do you reckon of Fagerd?" And I went, "Wow, just wow." I've seen other channels compare him to a Rolls Royce today. I didn't want to. I didn't want to obviously do the same thing, but my God, he was and will be an absolute star. And I really hope we can hold on to him because, my God, he's one. I'll tell you what, he's one of the most calm ball playing centre backs I've seen at my club. I wouldn't say
since Rio,
mate. He's got everything in his locker to be better than Rio.
I mean, Rio left us very early. When you say better than Rio, are you talking better than the Rio that West Ham saw, or better than Rio?
I'm talking about better than Rio across the board, mate. I think he's got
really.
Yeah. I mean, but then listen, you're talking to a guy that thinks Michael Carrick was better than Paul Scholes. I mean, listen, everyone's opinion. Everyone has their own opinion. Some of them, people think like there is shit. I personally think that Carrick was a better all-round player than Paul Scholes. Now, that's me. I know others will turn around and say differently. I know Zizou and Xavi and Iniesta turn around and say that that Scholes is the best midfielder. You know, they think he's the best midfielder. Whereas I personally think that Carrick was better than him. Now, I'm not saying that I'm right, and I'm in my opinion. But for me, Agard, in my opinion, has everything in his locker to be better than prime Rio Ferdinand at United.
Fair. Well, let's have a look and see what the live chat think. Daniel has gone with a 9. No mucking about. Bang. Have some of that. Larry is in agreement and gives 9 with the statement great performance. Cyber says Agard, he's giving him a 19. I'm guessing that's probably a 9. But maybe you actually think that he is a 19 out of 10. Maybe. I don't know. Hammerhead gives him a 9. Dean's Life says, man of the match, strong 8. 10.5, apparently. 10.5. Cyber's clarified. Fair enough. Squirrel Squad says, absolute Rolls Royce, as you referenced it a little bit earlier, Duke, and gives him a 9. David, 9. Walshy, 9. Joan, Aguerd was superb. His passing is brilliant too. 9. Epic says Agerd was an 8. True Cockney, Agerd must be a very high 8 and probably a 9. Steve comes in, another Diamond Club member, flashing their card around and saying, I will give a decimal point. Don't you worry about that. Says, what a tackle in the box in the second half. I thought it was a penalty. In fact, he made a world-class tackle. Wow. And there's a lot of superlatives that they're giving about Naya Fagerd in the live chat. Charlie comes in and says, fantastic player, great performance. I'll give him a 9. only misses out on a 10 due to it being Everton, and their attack is as blank as Gates's face when I talk about any tech from the 2010s onwards. Listen, you didn't know what a ZX Spectrum Plus 2 was. You had to Google
that's
it.
probably because he was, mate, that was about 45 years before he came along. Let's not mess around.
That's probably true,
I mean,
in fairness.
I tell you what, I give a Gerd a 9, but I'd also like to caveat that with I feel as confident with him on the ball, Rob, as I felt watching videos of a certain West Ham son from the 60s as a centre back. He gives me the same confident vibes as a player on the ball, picking passes, etc., as Bobby, as when the videos of watching Bobby Moore.
Fair. I mean, it's early days yet. I don't want to go crazy, and as Charlie said, it was Everton, so you kind of have to factor that. But Miss Hammerette says 8, and yes, you did say 8 a little bit earlier, Hammerhead. So there you go. Anyway, and Steve just chips in, says he can confirm that he didn't know what a ZX Spectrum was. Fantastic bit of technology, kids. I tell you what, you don't know what you're missing. Anyway, Kurt Zuma's next.
I'm going to give him a 7. There was a couple of rickets in there. There was one where he fell arse over, Rob. What was that about? He kind of kicked the floor and just stacked it, face planted. I didn't know what he was thinking, unless he thought the floor was a cat.
Now, let's not start that.
And then obviously when he was racing back, again, he's another player, a bit like Mickey, that when he runs at full tilt, I panic that something's going to go twang. The fact that he came out for the second half really concerned me. But again, as the game went on, he put in a fairly decently assured performance once the rickets were out of his system. So yeah, I'll give him a 7.
7. Well, it looks like that's not a million miles away from where the live chat is with you. Larry gives him a 7. Steve gives him a 7. Walshy gives him a 7. There's a pattern emerging here. Oh, look, David gives him a 7 as well. Miss Hammerette says 7, but he looked wobbly again. True Cockney also gives him a 7. Hammerhead Zoo 7. Is he hurt? I don't know. Squirrel Squad, however, gives him a 6. The wheels are falling off, but pretty much everybody else has given him a 7, the same as you have. Right, now we move into the midfield area. Talk to me about the left wing back, Mr. Emerson Palmieri. I mean, listen, he's Italian, or is he Italian that's Brazilian? I don't know. It's one of them.
I'm still not convinced. I'm really still not convinced. That for me, the jury's still out on this man. There's a worry that he's a sidewards side grade to Arthur Masuaku. I'm still not convinced about the guy. But that being said, I think he had a fairly decent game yesterday. I'm willing to give him a 7.
You're going to have to Google it, True Cockney. You'll have to Google it. It's a piece of technological wizardry from the mid-80s. Don't worry about that.
Basically, it was computer games. Home
PC.
Yeah, but
home PC of its day.
If you wanted to load a game up, it took you 45 minutes on one side of a cassette.
Yep.
And then you had to turn the cassette over, and if you didn't turn it over in time, the whole thing would reboot.
And it made a horrific noise whilst it was loading, didn't it? Yeah.
It sounded like your old internet dial-up if you picked up the phone.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So what are we giving him, Duke?
I'm going to give him a 7.
7. Right, Steve's come in. He's given him an 8. David has gone 1 mark below. He's given him a 7, still a good mark. Larry gives him also an 8 and says it's the best match he's played. Miss Hammerette says 7. Hammerhead 6. He played a key role in the opening goal, and then he almost scored in the second half. I thought he played really well. But Squirrel Squad agrees with Hammerhead, says he was 6, but says better at least. Dean's Life says 6. Hang on, no, wrong one. Emerson assist 7. Walshy says 7. Probably one of the best games he's played for us. He's not played many, in fairness, so it's not sort of he's not got an awful lot to sort of compare against, I suppose. And just to sort of get it up there, sounds like my old Commodore 64.
64.
Because there was the Commodore 64, there was the Spectrum ZX Plus 2, and there was the Amstrad. I can't remember what model it was, but they were all similar sort of thing. They all had, you put the cassette in, it took about half hour to load the game up. It made a horrific noise. The graphics were crap. The sound was crap, but we enjoyed it.
It was the prelude to the Atari 2600 ST, the old cartridge-based. I think they had Combat Tank on it, and you had to try and drive your tank around. That was one of the first games, Centipede and shit like that. But
that was before.
Prelude.
Yeah, I remember them once because they had like the mock wood panel effect, didn't they?
They did. You plunged the cartridge in the top, and you had to turn the button. Was like a lever on and off switch, wasn't it?
You didn't have a rally grifter, did you?
No.
Or a chopper?
I've still got my chopper.
Not that chopper.
Oh, sorry.
My mistake. Beast. Honestly. Anyway, let's move on. The captain, Declan Rice.
8. Again, he didn't act like a captain. I'd like to see more, pomp from a captain, some more beating of the chest. But there were a couple of times when he threw his hands towards the crowd. Get the fucking noise going. Come on, I saw some of that yesterday. I saw some of the tackles flying in. I saw him trying to link up play. I'm glad he didn't shoot a lot.
That run he had in the second half, he came mightily close.
Yeah, but again, I had a bet on Jared Bowen scoring a hat-trick, and if he'd passed it, the prick, actually, I'm going to give him a 4 just for that one reason. He cost me money, bastard.
4? You can't do that.
No, I'll give him an 8. I just want to give him a 4 because he cost me 35 quid.
You got enough money. You're making an absolute fortune at that pub.
It's going well.
I know.
Another 9.5 grand weeks over.
Well, you broke your record not once but twice in a fortnight.
Well,
back to back, brilliant.
Even this week, which is the lowest of the 3 weeks, is still more than the most money we'd ever taken last year. So yeah,
crazy, isn't it? Anyway, a couple of people have come in with a score from Mr. Declan Rice, our captain.
Yep.
Larry comes in with an 8 and Mark remarks solid, which is also the remark that Steve makes, but he marks him as a 7. Walshy comes in with an 8. David comes in with an 8. Squirrel Squad comes in with a 7. Miss Hammerette with an 8. True Cockney says he was a 7. Dean's Life has gone with an 8. Alexander 52 says he was a 7. Anybody else that's given him a mark? Yes, Joan also gives him a 7. There we go. Now, his partner in central midfield yesterday was not Thomas Souček, surprisingly for some. It was Mr. Lucas Paquetá. How did you think that the Brazilian played?
I'm getting annoyed.
Oh.
I heard some stupid comments coming out of the grounds yesterday about him being a waste of money and whatnot. And it really frustrated me because remember what we spoke about a few weeks ago where I want to see him Dimitri. Basically, you give the other 10 players on the pitch a set job to go and do. Paqueta's job to go do is just that. Go do. Wherever you need to be on the pitch, go do. That, for me, is how he should play. For me, he's getting the Pablo Fornells treatment. And that is, if you don't work and graft and do the dirty work, you don't play.
Mm.
And he's having that... He's having that creativity kind of beaten out of him in a way for the blood, sweat and tears of the game. And it annoys me because we didn't buy a player to do that. We've already got several players that can do that. This guy was brought in to be the flair man, to be what Ben Rama was supposed to be after Dimitri Payet. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, I'm certainly not digging Saeed out. I think he's had a brilliant season. In fact, he's been one of our best attacking players.
He has been our best attacking player.
What does annoy me is that Moyes is trying to again change this guy's style of play, and I am putting it down to Moyes. There is no one else. But again, for me yesterday, he's got some great vision, Rob. And the sad thing is, when you can see a pass and you've got an absolute tit of a striker that doesn't run into the space behind, ready to be running onto the pass that your Brazilian number 10 is going to make. When you've got an absolute wonder striker that doesn't make that run, he then looks like a prick because that pass is now rolling out for a goal kick because that striker didn't run onto it. He's got the vision. He's got the talent. There's some fantastic passes in this man. Oh, there was a few yesterday. As Jones says there, he opened up. Steve says it. He opened up the Everton defence within 5 minutes with an absolute peach. Again, don't run quick enough or early enough to be, anticipating that. I'm going to give him a 7. There is still more to come from this guy. That I am convinced.
I agree. I think he looks like he's settling. I'm looking at the marks that a few guys and girls have given him in the live chat. Larry gives him a 6. Miss Hammerette gives him a 6. David a 7. Squirrel Squad gives him a 6. Alexander 52 gives him a 6. Andy Walsh gives him a 7. Dean's Life, Pac-Man 7. Wish others would show his ability. Paquetá gets a 7 from True Cockney. Steve gives him a 7. Again, some nice passes, good vision. Open up Everton defence with a pass in the first 5 minutes. And Jones says 7. He's going to be epic. Hammerhead says 7, looking better. Still not fully there, and he won't be until Moyes is gone. That's probably true.
Completely agree.
Daniela gives Paquetá a 7, and Hodgie also gives him a 7. And Steve goes on to say, I'd pay just to watch him and a Gerd. So, yeah, fair enough.
I think we'd struggle, though, with just those two on the pitch.
He's definitely getting there, though. There's, you look at the last... Basically, since Christmas, I would suggest if you look at the games before Christmas and the games after Christmas, marked difference. He really is getting to grips with the Premier League. I also think that he is being deployed slightly deeper, so he's getting more time on the ball and he's getting the ball more regularly than he was when he was playing sort of like 10, 15 yards further up the pitch. So I think that's been a massive help to him. But like I say, I think he's just getting used to the Premier League, and I keep my fingers crossed, and I'm touching wood. If he is still a West Ham player in the Premier League in next season, then I think you're going to see a far, far more effective player, and you're really going to see the money that we paid. Hopefully, at that point, you'll look and go, actually, that was money well spent.
Yeah.
Right wing back, Vladimir Kufal.
I just wish he could cross. I wish he'd shoot.
Cheers,
I think
Larry.
it was yesterday he had the opportunity when he was breaking into the box. I was just like, put your head down, mate, and smash it. Please. Please. And he tried to pass it sideways. I'm going to give him a 7. Again, the work rate was there. Again, it was Everton, but you can only play what's in front of you. But like I say, I do wish he could cross. And I do wish he would have confidence in himself to take a shot on once in a while.
Fair enough. Right. Okay. Let's have a little look into the comments. Squirrel Squad has given Vladimir a 7. Ashby right wing back. He wasn't yesterday, Mandy. It was definitely Kufal. I've checked. David gives him a 7. Kufal gets a 7 from Mr. Walsh. Larry says he's playing well and gives him a 7. But Mandy comes back and says he gets a 6. Steve 57, solid defensively, average going forward. Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. But fundamentally, he's a defender. So as far as I'm concerned, he should be good at defending. And if he can get forward and to good effect, it's an added bonus. But anyway, Kufal gets a 6 from True Cockney. Dean's Life gives him a 6 also. Says good work rate, but crossing is poor. And Mandy asks the same question. Why is he so poor at crossing? It's not like he would have practiced it at Rush Green or before he even came to England, is it, Duke? Does make you wonder. Kufau, 7. Best game since the World Cup, says Alexander 52. Jones says Kufau, he's not a wing back, but gets a 7. Larry also goes on to say crossing is an issue. And Hodgie gives Vladimir Kufau a 7. So I think we're all pretty much there or thereabouts, aren't we? So now we move into the forward line. Talk to me about Saeed Benrahma, who played on the left of a front three, essentially.
Still very wide, Rob, and I think this is where I get quite frustrated. When you're playing wing backs, you're too wide players, you're too wide front three.
Yeah.
They need to be pushing in. They should have really been tucked in a little bit closer when we were in possession, a little bit closer to Mickey, both
Yeah.
sides. I would hasten to add, because as I said earlier, there were a couple of times when he and Emerson were tripping over each other's feet. He didn't get the better of who's the geezer that he was. Who's his direct opponent? Oh,
Who? Sorry, who talked about? What, Benny?
Rama.
His direct opposite would have been Seamus Coleman and Yerry Mina.
Mina. He didn't get anything from Mina yesterday. Kind of. He was basically. I think after the first few occasions when he tried to beat him, he kind of then back checked on himself and whether he had the confidence to take him on. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
as I said before on here, when I used to play, I'd pick a player from the other team and I'd smash the shit out of him in the opening 5 minutes, so he wouldn't want to run at me again or
Yeah.
come near me again with a ball in case I smashed the shit out of him again. It felt like that's what happened with Benny yesterday. He got smashed the shit out of fairly early in a tackle. Didn't look like he wanted it again. You know.
So what you giving him?
Gonna give him a 6.
6. Right. Okay. Live chat. Get stuck in. Miss Hammerett gives him a 7. David agrees with you, Duke, and gives him a 6. Walshy gives him an 8. Larry gives him a 7. Squirrel Shot gives him a 7 as well. Dean's Life, however, gives him a 5 and says he was bullied by Yerry Mina. I can see why you would say that. I really can. True Cockney gives him a 7. Hammerhead says he was a 6. He was quiet yesterday. I think he tried hard. I just think that he wasn't very effective. Not his best game this season. That's for sure. Mandy says he was a 6. Was okay. Looked better when he came into the middle. Yep, I think that's a fair assessment, Mandy. Benny gets a 6 from Alexander 52, and it also goes on to say it was not his best game. And Steve, pretty similar assessment, decent but quiet, and gives him a 6. Larry goes on to say that he wanted to see more from Benny yesterday. Jones says Benrahma, however, was a 7. And Hodgie, now hang on, Hodgie, hang on. Have you got your diamond card? And I don't remember saying that we were going to let people give fractions. I said decimals. I don't know. Can we? What do you reckon, Duke? Can we allow fractions as well as decimals?
Yep, I'll let him have that.
All right, go on then, Hodgie, because it's you. Don't, like I say, don't tell the others, because otherwise they're all going to start piling in with sort of like 7 3/5 and this, that, and the other. So just keep it between us. Nobody else has to know. Right. Okay. That's that dealt with. Right. Scorer of the brace. Soon to be a father of twins. Jared Bowen. Talk to me.
I am actually going to give Jared a 9.5.
Oh, wowzers.
He would have got an 8.5.
Yep.
But I'm going to give him an extra half point for each goal. It's the reason he got my man in the match. We alluded to it earlier. He's interchanging with Mikel Antonio yesterday. It aroused something in me, Rob, that I quite liked to see.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we
Did you
kind
have
of
to go to
bang
the
on.
toilet afterwards, did you?
No. I behaved, but
Oh, makes a change.
it gave me something that I wanted to see from our front line yesterday. The interchanging of positions. He offered something different yesterday that I've not seen at all season.
Right.
And that was the interchange. He didn't just stay out wide. He did come in. He did. He caused a lot of problems because their defensive, their right side of their defense didn't know how to deal with him, Rob. They didn't know how to, is the left back, so is their right back going to come inside with him and follow him? On that being said, is the centre back going to follow Antonio as Antonio drifts? They were all over the gaff because of that, and he made the benefit of it by scoring the 2 goals. I'm actually going to give him a 9.5.
9.5. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Okay. Let's have a
And
look at
there
you
is a
guys.
question in
Go
there,
for it.
Rob. I'm going to let you answer.
Okay. Fair enough.
In the,
Right.
in
David gives him a 9. Mr. Walsh gives him a 9. Hammerhead gives him an 8. Larry says he was the man of the match and gives him a 9. True Cockney gives him an 8. Dean's Life says an 8. Best performance in an age.
Yeah.
Mandy goes with an 8. Says got the team pumping with his enthusiasm. Hammerhead goes on to say he had to score those goals. Absolutely. Miss Hammerette, being very, very mischievous, gives him an 8 3/4 and then says she's kidding and gives him a 9. Alexander 52 gives him an 8. Squirrel Squad, you've given him an 8 and you've asked the question, why shush the fans though? The reason I suspect is very simple. He's saying shush, you'll wake the babies. That's just my guess. Bowen got a 9 from Joan and says they were well taken goals. Where else have we got? Mandy says he might look like a £30 million player for the first time in a while, and then says actually no, a £40 million player. Steve gives him a 7. 2 very good goals. And Hodgie says he's an 8. Best performance in a long time. And Daniela comes in and says Bowen gets an 8 from her. Hammerhead also goes on to say Antonio and Bowen did it so much last year and then it just
very
seemed to
much
stop.
agree with.
Yeah.
Very,
They did dovetail, didn't they?
yeah,
Same as
really well.
Ben Rama and Fornals would do it as well. When Fornals was central, Ben Rama was left, and then they'd swap over. So, yeah, change the problems. I said it in the match preview about fullback or not fullbacks, wingers switching wings during the game.
Yeah.
Change the problems for the opposition fullback, especially if you're getting no traction. I mean, if it's working, then fine, don't need to change it. But if it's not going so well, change the angle. The player's going to be coming at the fullback. Change the problems for them.
Comes back to what I mentioned in the game earlier, Rob. Bukayo Saka was absolutely murdering Luke Shaw out on that side today. He absolutely, literally, he was controlling the game out on that wing because Luke Shaw didn't know what to do with him. It was so good to watch, and it just annoys me that we've got a naturally left-footed player in in Ollie Scholes out there in the youth team, and we just don't want. I know people are going to say he's too young. Right. Listen, if he's good enough, get him in.
Fair. Only leaves one of the starters. The guy that was playing as the striker come right winger was Mr. Michail Antonio, who, if you believe what's been said in the last couple of days, might have been stirring the pot behind the scenes, maybe not. Might be wanting to go to another club, maybe not. But I think the fact of the matter is that yesterday he put in in my opinion, I think he put in a very good performance. But what say you?
His best performance, again, it coincides. And I know it's only Everton, yes. But again, another performance from a player being their best in a long time. I'm actually going to give him an 8. I thought, again, his interchange play with Bowen, the assist, the 2 assists actually for Bowen, if you want. The one where for me, he should have really shot. Well, the header headed it at goal rather than kind of being caught in two minds. As Andy says, he actually looked like he wanted to play yesterday. Turned up. I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he was good yesterday.
I'm going to be very provocative at this point, and I'm going to ask a question. And you guys in the live chat, please feel free to answer as well. Duke, Do you think that maybe the reason he was fired up is that he possibly thought that yesterday, and it still might prove to be the case, yesterday was his last game at London Stadium as a West Ham player?
I mean, listen, if it is, I'm not going to be overly concerned by it. I know that might sound a bit wrong. But again, if we're going to move forward, Rob, Deadwood needs to be cut. And if we're going to bring in, if we're going to replace players, they need to be better than what we've got. Now, yeah, there's talk of, and there was a lot of talk last week, and I'll be interested to see what comes in the next 8 to 10 days of Harry Maguire, a loan deal and whatnot.
Yep.
I think he's a good player. I don't think he suits the way Man United play, but I think he's a good player. If we get him on loan, is he an upgrade on Craig Dawson? In my opinion, yes. So therefore, you've done the right thing. Is he an upgrade possibly on Oggy? Yes. So then you've upgraded again. You see what I mean? Oggy replaces Dawson, Maguire replaces Oggy. You then have Zuma and obviously Nathan. With Antonio, listen, we've only got two strikers. We've only got one striker and a wing back converted. You've only got two strikers in a club that's in the Premier League. You should at least have three or four. Well, you've kind of got Bowen that can play there. You've got Antonio, you've got Skamaka. Listen, we've gone out and we got Ings. Is Ings better than Antonio? Maybe not. Maybe not. Would I put them on par with each other? Yeah, to a degree. They both bring slightly different things. If we go out and get this Terran Moffey, yes. Yes, he is. Therefore, Deadwood gets cut and, the replacement comes in. That's no disrespect to Antonio. But for me, if we're going to try and do things differently, you can't have the same old players. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to
Again,
evolve.
much the same way as Craig Dawson. Thanks very much for your time. Thanks very much for your effort. Thank you for everything that you've done for the club. But we need to evolve now and we need to move on. And unfortunately, you're not part of that. So we leave you behind. You go join a club like Wolves or you go somewhere like maybe Fulham, And if we bring in Moffey, well, then we're back to three strikers and a left winger with a right foot that can play up front as well. So, yeah, if he goes, he goes with good graces, good blessings. He's our Premier League all-time top scorer. Was I uninspired by the Ings signing? Yes, I was. I was very uninspired by the Danny Ings signing. But as I turned around and said to people in my pub, if he scores 10 and we stay up, fantastic. He'll have my love, my admiration, and I look forward to seeing him in a West Ham shirt. But it's not the sort of signings we were promised when we were leaving the hallowed ground of Upton Park and coming over to the Bowl. We were promised kind of marquee signings. We were promised this sort of football. No disrespect to Ings, he's not that. But listen, as I said, if he's the man that can keep us up, fantastic.
Fair. Let's have a look and see what the live chat are saying. So Hodgie gives him an 8, says it was his best performance for a long time. Daniela gives him an 8. Oh, look. Diamond Club membership. Look. 8.5. David says 6. Only thing he did was cross for Bowen's goal. Little bit harsh, David, I feel. I think he was a little bit better than that, in my opinion, but you're welcome at yours as well. Steve gives him a 50. Steve gives him a 50. No, Steve 50 gives him a 7. There you go. Outstanding assist. Larry gives him a 7. Miss Hammerett gives him an 8. Mandy says, better game today. Yesterday, I think you might mean. 7. Squirrel Squad gives him a 7. True Cockney also gives him a 7. Dean's Life says 7, not much to say, average. Okay. Solo Mist gives him a 6.66. Oh, another Diamond Club member that's just taking advantage of that particular status. Joan gives him a 7. Says, does he want to stay? Only one person really knows in their heart of hearts. Should players stay away from podcasts?
Same thing could be said. Should managers, especially if they're not CEOs.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that because you say about managers. That's the next person I'm going to ask you to give a ranking to. And if you're listening on Medium Wave, I said ranking with an R. Ranking, not masturbating.
Well, he is a masturbator, Rob. I can't give him any credit for yesterday. I'm going to slap bang in the middle 5. And the reason for this is he did nothing yesterday that made me go, keep him.
Yeah, I'm not talking. Yeah, but you got to judge him on the game, not on the
Yeah,
situation.
he beat Everton, mate. He beat an absolutely clueless, devoid of any ideas, lack of confidence Everton. You know, it's not. It wasn't a difficult game put in front of him, really, in the grand scheme of things. We were the lesser bad of 2 bad sides. It was. You called it the El Sackio earlier. For me, it was the Tripe Derby. It was dog shit. We won because we scored 2 more goals in a very, very bad team. 18 months ago, that would have been 5 or 6. Personally, I do think he still needs to go. But we only beat the worst team in the league, Rob. There's nothing to crow from the heavens about with this one.
Okay, fair. Steve 50 says 7. Got it right yesterday. Larry, however, a little bit less generous with his praise, gives him a 4. Says bad player selection and tactics. Squirrel says just please go. 5. David, 5. Only Everton still needs to go. True Cockney also gives him a 5. Larry, couple more little comments from Larry. Says we beat the worst team in the league. He did 0. Sack this man. I'm guessing you're not a fan of David Moyes, Larry. Just reading between the lines, and I might be wrong, but please let me know. Things Life, 5.5 for Moyes. Oh, look. They're all flashing their Diamond Club membership with Falls from Iron, aren't they? Look at this. Now, another one.
Like it, my man.
Unbelievable. Let one do it, they all bloody get involved. 5.5 at the back against one of the few teams worse than us, 32% possession. Fair enough. Charlie, however, says 7 for me. Got the 3 points. Dropped Souček, which gives him another point. So a 7 for yesterday only. Still time to go for me, he says. Moyes gets a 2 for the win and the other for turning up, says True Cockney. Ouch. Miss Hammerett gives him a 4. Ooh. And Mandy gives him a 5. Walshy says Moisty 6. Do you know what? I don't understand why people have a problem with the word moist.
Moist.
In fact, there's possibly people that, as I'm saying this, the other side of this screen, I'm saying the word moist, and someone out there is cringing.
Yeah.
I'm saying the word moist. What say you, Duke?
Doesn't bother me in the slightest, good sir. Not in the slightest.
I'm guessing that there's. Oh, hang on. Is Kate one of them? Do you not like the word moist, Kate? Is that what you're telling me? You don't like the word moist?
Moist.
Just a standard boring 5 at the back says.
Moist.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Moist.
Oh no! Look, yeah, she's not keen. She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it. Okay.
She doesn't
Just
like it moist.
just for you, Kate, I will stop saying the word moist.
You got to say it with that creepy moist like that. You got to.
What, like David Moist?
She's
Right.
gonna hate us.
She probably does. She probably does. Before we wrap it up, I think it would be rather
Should always
remiss
wrap
of
it up.
me. Now.
Sorry.
Now. I think it would be rather uncharitable of us to mention this fella, Craig Dawson. He's now an ex-West Ham player. He's now a Wolverhampton Wanderers player. This is a guy that cast your mind back to when he came in. And he came in on loan from Watford, who had been relegated. And I think all of the Watford fans that I knew about were saying how crap he was and he was the reason that they got relegated and da-da-da-da-da. And he came in and he didn't kick a ball for the first however many months. And we was all, myself included, all sitting there going, what was the point of this signing?
Yep.
And then as you said, he got his opportunity. And to be fair, he got the tag Ballon Dawson because he became a sort of like a modern day version of Ginge, of Pele.
Agreed.
Similar sort of, blood and guts defender, head it, kick it, heart on his sleeve. Came in for, I'm just looking here because I did have it. As far as his transfer bits and bobs was concerned, we've actually made money on this guy. Not a fantastic profit. I've got the figures here. It was basically, if you include the loan fee and what we paid to make it a permanent, and then equate that against what we've got from Wolverhampton Wanderers. As I say, the information on this website I've got here, it's got it in euros, but we made 400,000 euros on Craig Dawson, who gave us 2.5 years service and an awful lot of memories, I think it's fair to say. Probably the one that I remember most is obviously going to be the goal away in Lyon, the header, bang, have some of that.
Yeah.
Some of his performances, aside from that, though, were heroic. I mean, the performance away at Stamford Bridge last season. Yes, he got sent off, I know, but just park that for a moment. He was monumental that day. He really was. And I wish him well for his Wolverhampton Wanderers career. I just hope that it's not hit them or us, because sorry, Dulce, if it's us or you, then I wave you a cheery goodbye down the gurgler. But other than that, mate, fantastic West Ham career, absolutely astonishing value for money, and yeah, hope the rest of your career goes well, mate.
Without a doubt, absolutely legendary. Performances in a West Ham shirt, the standout performances in a West Ham shirt. Like I say, he played on, the goal out in France from the header. From what I believe, Rob, I spoke to the groundsman after that game against Lyon, and he said that he was surprised that the corner came in like it did because the ground was very moist. But no, it was listen, great time. But again, if we're going to develop, as I said earlier, if we're going to move forward, then we
Cheers,
need
Kate.
to we need to be
We try.
replacing the players. As I said before, I said it. He kicked in the head. Che Adams.
Che Adams, yeah.
At Sheffield
Was that his
United.
debut, or it was one of his first games, wasn't
I
it?
think it was one of his first games, Sheffield United.
And do you remember in the first game or two, I think it happened maybe 2 or 3 times, where during the course of the game, he seemed to go down and you're like, what the bloody hell's going on here? And I seem to remember, I think, if I misremembered, they gave him like a Jaffa cake to sort of give him a little bit of a fire up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that happen again. but I think it happened twice from memory in his
Possibly,
first and
yeah.
second game that he
It's
seemed to
the
have a little bit of a funny turn, and it was like,
it's
here
the
you go, have
sugar
a Jaffa cake.
content. It might turn out that he has, issues there with with his insulin sugar balance. So that's
Yeah.
what's in the orange of a Jaffa cake. But no, I've got
Yeah,
a lot
definitely
of time
squirrel.
for him. But as I turned around and said, if we're going to move on, you have to replace your worst players with better ones.
Hmm.
If we want to move forward, do I feel that we've done that up front? Well, we will do if we bring in Moffey. If we can bring in Maguire, do I think that we've moved forward with replacing Dawson? Yes, I do. Yeah, I think you can't complain that you've got an England international stepping into the place of someone who's not an England international. It's quite simple, isn't it? So, fingers crossed. We got 10 days left, 8 days, 9 days left of this window. If we
Yeah,
can
about
bring
that.
in two or three players with whatever outgoings there are, be them loans, be them whatever, it just gives us that little bit of a kick, Rob. I'll be interested to see where we go.
Fair. Right. Well, I am going to finish because it's been running for a little while now. So if you haven't had a vote on the poll, you've got about 10 seconds. So if you're not watching us on YouTube, if you're watching us on Twitter or Facebook, pop across to YouTube. I'm going to shut the poll in a minute. Get across there. Whilst you're there, just drop a thumbs up on the stream. As I say, it helps the channel out really more than you'll ever know. I'm going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The poll has ended. And ladies and gentlemen, the Forged from Iron man of the match in yesterday's game was this fella, Nathan. Big Nathan won it. He got 55% of your vote, ladies and gentlemen, with the brace hitter, the father-to-be of twins, Jared Bowen getting 36%, Michael Antonio and Emerson hoovered up the remaining 7% of the poll's votes. So clear winner, Naya Fagerd is your man of the match. Not bad. Right.
He deserved it. He was good.
Any final things you want to get off your chest before we knock it on the head, mate?
No, I'm happy we got 3 points. I'm happy that
Shay Adams Squirrel.
we're out of the relegation zone. Results kind of went our way in a way today.
Nice.
Erling Haaland bags his 4th hat-trick of the season. But no,
I thought he'd gone off the boil. Shows you what I know.
he was having a rest. So yeah, FA Cup week coming up, so we get a little bit of a break from the mundane, and hopefully, if you want, hopefully we can forget about our league troubles for a while, come through the game next Monday, I believe, against Derby.
I haven't, Cyber. No
see
idea.
where it gets us. See where it gets us, Rob. Hopefully, like I say, bit of a cup run to take us off our mind off of this. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Right. Okay. Right. I'm going to play the food bank promo. If you could give that your full support where possible, it would be much appreciated. We're going to be back. What's the next one on the schedule, mate?
Be Sunday, wouldn't it? Sunday's preview for the Derby game.
Yeah, it's Monday, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got basically a week, unless things happen in between. I might do a few little bits and pieces.
Well, when diary, let's have a look. Let's have a look at something.
Go on.
Next Tuesday. So next Tuesday is obviously a week. Tuesday coming is obviously transfer deadline day. So that'll be
no problem.
That'll be the day of our review, Rob, of the Derby game. So maybe we could intermingle the the review with some work on transfer deadline day like we have in the past. Maybe not I'm not asking for an all-dayer, but
Ooh, that was brutal, wasn't it?
wouldn't it just? But, if we get, a couple of hourly shows in or something, just like some news and some updates, even if it's not West Ham, we'll have a talk throughout the week and see what we can put together. Even if I do one, you jump on, vice versa,
There's two people in the live chat that know a little bit more detail than I'm going to give at the minute, and I think I've told you. I'm having an interview on Thursday.
Oh yes,
fingers crossed. That's all I'm saying. I can't say too much more. I probably shouldn't, but I can divulge. I've got an interview for a position that I'm going for. So,
if I may,
that might change things quite drastically in terms of time and all the rest of it.
We can figure that out, Rob.
Yeah. We'll make that go along. Oh, look, Hammer, you're late.
All of it.
We're about to bugger off home.
I have to go back and watch it again. What I will say, Rob, is before I go, I just want to read this out. Shut up out there. What a 2.5 years it's been. As a club, we have achieved so much more than we could have imagined, and I will forever cherish those moments. I have nothing but love and respect for the club, the players, the staff. They're some of the best bunch of people I could have wished to have worked with, but personally, it was time for me to go home to my family. To the fans, the support has been unbelievable. A noise that always filled the stadium. Thank you for making me feel so welcome. I hope I have done you proud. I will be cheering on the Hammers from the sidelines and wish the club the best of luck for the future. Craig Dawson.
Just hopefully that Wolves and West Ham are not competing for the last relegation place, because then he might be like, fuck them.
Yeah, it will be very interesting.
Anyway, thanks for your support, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, you Irons. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And don't forget Iron Supporting Food Bank. Give them your full support if you can. And don't forget to drop a like on the stream if you haven't done so already, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Forge from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons.